Shyam Nitai Gaurang Bhagwan Jai Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Welcome everyone to this transcendental program of studying the ultimate duty of humankind called Param Dharma, highest duty, Bhagavat Dharma. Because human life is perfect, or could be, and who wouldn't want the best option for oneself? Which intelligent person would settle for anything less than the best available to him or her? So, what is the definition of availability? Availability depends on how much one has become aware of. In accordance to our awareness, in accordance to our becoming cultured or educated, disciplined, all these things are possible. This modification, transformation, education, promotion, all these things are possible only for a human being, because human being is endowed with a very special intelligence compared to all other species. And after bestowing that intelligence in the human species, the Supreme Lord also felt satisfied. Although for the decoration of this universe or this creation, it has so much color, it has so much finesse, it has so much fine tuning, amazing, so much wonder one can find even within this world. But who is behind all this? Only a human being can understand. And so he can have the inquiry. He has natural proclivity to inquire as to who the Supreme is, who is behind everything. That's why Atato Brahma Jigyasa, this injunction of the Vedas, is for the human being. The target of the scriptures is human being. We have appreciated that very much. Even Krishna incarnating, the target is the human being mainly. And so, as human beings, this culture of Bhagavata Dharma challenges all of us and telling us, hey, you think you are very intelligent, but just consider, analyze. If you analyze our lives since eternity, innumerable times we have been given the human form of life. How is that we couldn't get all the, and that's why we are stuck here. We have got this opportunity as a human being, and having been connected to the kripa and the teachings and the mercy flow of Mahaprabhu. That's why we stand very good chance. However insignificant, incapacitated, fallen, whatever we may have been since eternity, again and again. But what was missing for a long time, almost since eternity, because the concept of eternity, how much we can fathom, it has no end. But still, in for our conceivability, what it is to behave, it was never given before. 800, 8.64 billion years have elapsed since we may or may not have had the opportunity to appear in Mahaprabhu's Yuga. So it's a, what is really essential is how we handle our present situation. And that's why again and again I like to remind myself that this is the bestest opportunity since eternity to go all the way. Because very vibrantly we can feel the mercy connection to Mahaprabhu. One may ponder over how much insignificant or whatever we might be, small, anything. But, and so it's very discouraging. No? It's very discouraging. How can we attain the highest or the highest possible fortune in accordance to our Swarupa, not outside our Swarupa. Our Swarup, our identity is an eternal servant of Krishna. And but Mahaprabhu's connectivity, because Mahaprabhu has come to give it. Mahaprabhu wants to give it. So if out of many things, unlimited teachings and everything, if we can simply sustain this awakening of Mahaprabhu's Manobhishta, Mahaprabhu has desired, Mahaprabhu is very intent to give us the highest, Sri Radha Dashyam. So, what is Mahaprabhu's Manobhishta if somebody asks us, Because what Radharani experienced through her exclusive Mahabhav, Madanakya Mahabhav, and when Krishna became so curious about it, and so he was given, because Radharani would embrace only Krishna, correct? So anyway, Krishna became blessed, and he became most blessing in the form of Mahaprabhu, because that is the inner desire of Srimati Radharani. And Srimati Radharani, however great she is, however exclusive in her experience she is, she wants to share it with everyone. But the first recipient has to be Krishna, no? Because if Krishna is hankering for something which she wants to distribute to the whole world, but how can she? Because it would be like glorifying oneself. So Radharani is completely removed from self-centeredness. And when she fulfills her beloved's desire, what it is like, what is the glory of Radharani's love for Krishna? What kind of sweetness she alone experiences overwhelmingly, the sweetness of Krishna. So Krishna wonders, what is in me that somebody could love me that much, falling in love and becoming so obsessively overwhelming. So Krishna doesn't have that experience, although he also loves Radharani, but not at that level. So something is special about Radharani. That's why she is the better half, better half of God. She is God also. Krishna is also God. They are one entity manifest as a couple. And that's why Radharani never hankers to become Krishna, because she is already so obsessively overwhelmed in her experience through her sentiments. But Krishna hankers to become Sri Radha. Of course, Srimati Radharani is only Radha. So Radharani is, what is Radharani's identity? Madanakya Mahabhav. So that sentiment was given to Krishna and he became Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu now, nobody can become Radharani, nor can one become Mahaprabhu. Only two experienced the. So how to experience, how to make the living entities experience what they experience. Now Krishna, now he has come as Mahaprabhu to glorify Sri Radharani's glory. And the magnanimity of Radharani's heart now is being distributed or glorified through Mahaprabhu. So it is a great pleasure of Krishna as Mahaprabhu to glorify the most glorifiable Srimati Radharani. And so, Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhule. How to accomplish? So they have devised a way, just as in Nikunja Mandir, in the very confidential circle of the conjugal pastimes, Radha Krishna, the most confidential associates called Manjaris, they are called the Nitya Pranasakhi. Out of the Sakhis, there are five kinds. Na? Sakhi, Nitya Sakhi, Pran Sakhi, Priya Sakhi, and Pran Preshta Sakhi. So the second and third, the title, Nitya means eternal associate, and Pran Sakhi means as dear as life. So those two qualities make one a Manjari. So that fortune. So this is how one becomes Sri Radha's ultimately the aspiration. So one cannot become Sri Radha, one cannot become Sri Mahaprabhu, but one can become Sri Radha's. So what is Sri Chaitanya Manobhishta? That he wants to make us Sri Radhas. And becoming Srimati Radha means to become Radha is Palyadasi. Palyadasi literally meaning, like the pet animal. Radharani is so superlatively glorious, and to become her pet means just as a pet, everything totally at the disposal of the master, correct? So we want to be totally at the disposal of Srimati Radharani, unconditionally, and we want to become ready to become fully consumed all the time by Srimati Radharani for her pleasure. So that is the attitude of a kinkari, and that attitude with that attitude by Radharani's inconceivable kripa, she shares the bhava. Bhava means sentiment of her heart with her confidential kinkaris. That's why the kinkaris are described as the bhava spurti. They are the manifestation of Radharani's bhava without becoming or without being Radharani. So Radharani can make them experience what she experiences with the touch of Krishna. This is very esoteric. So she can experience, and that's why it is what she experiences in her mind and what she experiences on her body. The the Chamatkriti means intense fascination she experiences in the heart. That is what she makes her kinkaris, makes her experience. And the romanch means, what is the English meaning? Romanch means, what is the meaning, word for English in romanch? Romanch means excitement, which she feels, she makes by her inconceivable mercy. She makes the same, again I'm using the word, romanch. What was the word I just used? Romanch, the excitement. Without becoming Radharani, without even embracing Krishna. Because if one directly embraces Krishna, how much one can experience? We do not have the capacity on our own to experience the unlimited treasure. That's why Nautam Das Thakur in later slokas will describe that somebody tries to approach Krishna, the ocean of rasa. Directly, he may barely can touch just one drop or one bindu. Bindu is not even drop, or maybe one drop. Whereas by becoming confidential of Srimati Radharani, one is made to experience the whole ocean. And this very confidential message is the Manobhishta of Mahaprabhu. And so therefore, it would behoove on all of us if we take the pride to have been connected to Mahaprabhu's parampara. We must have only one aspiration, Sri Radha Dasyam. In the very beginning, in the middle, and also all the way, we have only one goal. No matter at what stage of our sadhana we are, only to cater to that, moving forward to that goal in mind. Always our fascination will be sustained. Because prayojan, that love of God, that fortune of Radharani making us experience what she experiences with the direct embrace or direct conjugal affairs, with Sri Krishna. Because if it remains limited to oneself only, what is its value, correct? As we give many times examples, somebody is very fortunate and nobody knows about it. What's its value? So that's why those who become very confidential of the one who is the most blessed, Srimati Radharani, they also experience the fortune or the joy or the bliss on the same level by their causeless mercy. That's why in Bhagavatam Krishna says, Martyo yada tyakta samasta karma niveditatma vichikirshito me tada mritatvam pratipadyamano mayatma bhuyaya cha kalpate vai. Krishna wants to share the experience of his relishment, all the opulence, all the fortune, all the rasas, because he himself is Rasika Shekhar, and his Rasik Shekharta got a complete circle when he assumed the mood of Mahaprabhu through Radharani's bhava. So we are as sadhakas going through the purificatory process, but purification to what end? To become a better person? No, that is, or to become a yogi, jnani or dhyani, or to become a good devotee? No. Our definition, our focus is only to attain Sri Radha Dasyam, to become blessed with the Bhavollas Rati, in which our attraction, our fascination of Srimati Radharani transcends or even the fascination of the world for Krishna, correct? The whole world is fascinated by Krishna. Manjaris stand out because they are not conjugally attracted or fascinated by Krishna as the Kandarpa Koti Kamani. Krishna, whose beauty subdues the beauty of millions of cupids. How can anybody escape Krishna's fascination or Krishna's attraction, Krishna's beauty and everything? But because of the prowess of Srimati Radharani, because of the fortune which Radharani has bestowed upon the Kinkaris, they experience the sweetness or the madhurya much, much greater than anybody would be able to experience through direct connection or embrace of Krishna. That's why they are not interested to embrace Krishna or just to have anything to do with him independent of Srimati Radharani. Only for Srimati Radharani they have anything to do with Krishna, because their identity is defined as Sri Radha. So that is the Mahaprabhu's manifestation. Now, so in last rendering, we discussed 2 slokas ago how the Swatantra Kama, independent aspirations other than fulfilling the needs of Krishna, fulfilling or only engaging the mind only. Kamam tu dasye natu kama kamyaya yathottama shloka janashraya ratihi. Ambrish Maharaj aspired to attain that rati, that love which resides in the heart of the pure devotees, the associates of the Lord. So, in the same way, only by desiring or aspiring what Mahaprabhu has come to give us, we can become free from Swatantra Kama, independent aspirations or independent agenda or ulterior motives like that. And in last sloka, similarly, how to overcome the workings of anger, then delusion, calm, krodha, greed especially, greed and delusion. Anger, greed and delusion, 3 we discussed. And basically, the influence of greed was very much emphasized, because greed destroys wisdom, the very pride of a human being. Every human being thinks he is very intelligent. But greed destroys one's wisdom. When wisdom is destroyed, shame is destroyed. Wow. In other words, the greedy person gives up all shame and starts to seize other men's property. When shame is destroyed, virtue is destroyed. Shameless person has no virtue. In India, they saying, "Thodi sharam karo." If somebody is rebuked because of his shamelessness, then he's rebuked. Thodi sharam karo. Have some shame. So, because when shame is destroyed, virtue is destroyed. No restriction he has lost. And when he loses his control, loses the shame, virtue is lost, then he is no better than animal. But animal, even after reprimanding it, he cannot be modified. But why a human being, if he acts like an animal, he's called, why are you talking like a dog or barking like a dog or eating like a dog or hog, whatever? Because they are reminded that you are better, you should be better, you should behave better, not like a dog. So if a dog is said, hey dog, it doesn't make any difference. He is going to be dog. But if a human being is addressed as dog or rebuked, that means there is a need, there is a possibility of changing him. That you are not a dog, why are you acting like one? Like this. So this So when virtue is destroyed, all that is auspicious is destroyed. In Hitopadesh also it is seen. From greed comes anger. So sometimes, as we have seen the sequence, kama converts into krodha, means anger, and then greed, and like the sequence. But in other observations, some have observed the influence of greed so much so that they think that from greed comes anger, from greed comes lust, from greed comes delusion and destruction. Greed is the sole cause of sin. Greed jerks our intelligence, or greed causes thirst, and the thirsty person finds misery in both this world and the next, because thirst in this material world is only of the temporary. So even multiple times we have been given the material drinks. They have not satisfied us. And so greed causes thirst, trishna. Thirst means trishna, hankering. And a hankering person finds misery in both this one. Hankering miserably, correct? Because, but that hankering, if it is targeted to the divine thing, that hankering itself is a perfection of our endeavor or sadhana. Hankering on the material platform is the cause of certain misery, dukkha, and hankering for the absolute thing is a symptom. But that hankering is so rare, na? Lobha, that greed, tatra laulyam api mulyam ekalam, janma koti sukrita inalabhyate. So greed for the real thing, ultimate thing, has to be searched after, And so then our proclivity of greed or all these material things can be transcended by developing greed for Sri Radha Dashyam. This greed is extremely hard to control. If all the wheat, barley, gold, cattle and women on the earth are given to a greedy person, it will not satisfy his greed. Wow. That's why Krishna says that one who gives up all these greedy aspirations, vihaya kaman, ye sarvan pumans charati nispriha, nirmamo, nirhankaro, sa shantimati gacchati. He who gives up all desires and becomes free from greed, false ego and feelings of possessiveness. This is mine. All these adoptions, what was ours when we appeared in this world, came to this world, and then we developed the sense of I with regard to this body and bodily connections and bodily possessions is mine. They were not before, they are just for some time and they will be gone. Agantuk, they come and go. So how can we take pride in calling something mine? So this false ego and feelings of possessiveness towards all material objects can truly find peace if one gives up that sense. One who gives up all desires and becomes free from this sense of possessiveness. This is mine. Now, what should be our focus as sadhakas? Who is mine? Who is mine? Some replacement has to be there, because if somebody is saying you got nothing, it would be most depressing. Even the conditions all, there is something to become encouraged. When one can be educated through this culture of Bhagavad Dharma. Srimati Swamini is ours. Swamini in Swamini's entourage. Because we are Swaminis, correct? We are Srimati Radharani's. I am Srimati Radharani's. this I, this sense of identification is the most glorious. When somebody targets the highest, it becomes the most glorious. Like in material world, an example, if people steal small thing, they become like rebuked and punished like this. But one who is able to create, big theft, then he becomes also famous in one sense, smart like this. We are not recommending or condoning theft or like that. The idea is that only when we target, if somebody has to, do something, then why do on a small scale? So our guidance is that if we have to aspire, if we really, as an intelligent being, we must aspire, we must bring our progressiveness to the absolute end. Then all our endeavor would be successful. Otherwise, Shrama eva hi kevalam, since eternity we have put so much endeavor to be happy in this material world and identifying with this material world. And we have been baffled. So how can we be called intelligent? And that's why when our aspiration, desires are for the highest, and our ego and the sense of possessiveness is with the highest. I am Sri Radha's, this is our ego. And Radharani and her, Radharani is never alone, correct? She is always with her entourage, with her associates. So those who are associates of Srimati Radharani, they are also ours. That way we can become free from the false ego and the feeling of possessiveness of all material things. Nothing can compare to the treasure that can be attained by mankind through resignation. It says nothing can compare to the treasure that can be attained by mankind through resignation of all greed and desire. Although, and we quoted the example of King Bhartari. Bhartari, he was a king, but his experience. Did we ever share his story? Through his experience, he realized that however greatly you love or give your heart to someone in this material world, you cannot buy someone's heart for yourself. It's not necessary. No matter how much you want to express the feeling of your heart towards somebody, that person may have his heart hankering for something else. That is what King experienced. He loved his beloved, the queen, so much that he expressed out of love so much gift, biggest gift, most expensive, most precious gift he gave to his queen to impress her. But she gave that gift to someone else who she was kind of infatuated with. His or one who was taking care of the horses, and then that person, although he received the gift from the queen, he gave that most precious gift to a prostitute. And now prostitute, she was very intelligent. She said, wow, such an expensive gift. Only king deserves it. Because it was so expensive. How can she handle it? Means if anybody comes to know about that, that she got it. That's why I say that it has to be made known. No? If somebody has the highest treasure with oneself and keeps only to oneself, it has no value. So she brought it to the king, the prostitute, and said, King, I think only you deserve it. And the king was shocked at how she got it and how the circle was. and it goes instantaneous, like a mood of renunciation that you cannot you cannot buy your so-called imagined happiness, even if you want to give your heart to someone. So that's why in human education, as a human being, we have the fortune of becoming educated to who our heart should be reserved for only, and that is in that this Radha Dashyam actually comes to rescue us. We can free ourselves from our misidentification of the ego or the self and the sense of possessiveness as to who ours, who is mine, through this. So by giving up all greed and other desires, the example is King Bhadri, then he observed, it's a it's kind of extreme, but it is very, this realization, out of realization, he observes this difference because he had everything at his disposal, still he could not fulfill, he could not get what he wanted to do, you know. But when he observes the life of a mendicant, you know, how the mendicant lives in the olden days in India, by giving up all greed and other desires, the mendicant sleeps or reclines like a king. Actually, king is not free from worries, although he has everything at his disposal to please him. But he has to he has to handle so many responsibilities, so many things. But a mendicant, he sleeps like a king without even worry. So he's better off. That's what the king thought. The huge planet Earth is his bed sheet or bedstead. His own hands are his pillows. The sky spreads out above his head like a canopy. The moon provides soothing light just like a jeweled chandelier. His detachment from the world is his eternal companion, like a devoted wife, just like a wife, and and the directions are like his maidservants that fan his body with a wind like yoke-tail fan. Wind comes anywhere from different direction. In this way, the devotees attain the supreme peace, being satisfied with whatever comes to them, engaging in Hari Katha in the company of saints and abandoning their desires for material objects forever. In the same way, the sadhaka gives up delusion, knowing to be a great obstacle to bhajan because it covers over one's spiritual knowledge. Delusion. One may say, Mama Pita, my father, Mama Mata, my mother, Mameyam Grihini, my wife, my house. So, this kind of possessiveness is known as delusion. If we, if we can sustain the awareness of our Swarup as a choicest maid servant of Srimati Radharani, that is the definition, that is specific definition of Jivere Swarupa Krishna Nityada. So, as eternal servant of Sri Krishna, Sri stands for Srimati Radharani. So, the highest fortune in accordance to our Swarup is one who attains the confidential maid servanthood of Srimati Radharani. And that's why, so, so this delusion means identifying oneself with anything other than that. All delusions, correct? Unless our identification, our pride, our sense of who the self is, who are you in the middle of the night, if somebody calls upon you and say, who are you? We should be able to spontaneously say, I'm a choicest maid servant Srimati Radharani. That is the pride, correct? That is the purest pride. It's not that pride is wrong, but pride should be in connection to our Swarup, in accordance to our Swarupa. So, this delusion is the sole cause for attachment to all perishable objects. And that's why, as we discussed previously, Moha Ishta Darshan Bina. Since I am Srimati Radharani's, when will I attain the darshan of Srimati Radharani? When will I attain the fortune of associating with Srimati Radharani in order to render loving service to her lotus feet? So it is said that if there were no illusion, no one would be so attached to or greedy after useless temporary objects that are related to the body. So because of the illusion and illusion, one becomes attached to the temporary body. Now that delusion and illusion both are mistakes, no? Because of misidentification. Wrong sense of who am I and who is mine. So, if everyone would seek after spiritual self-realization, see, spiritual self-realization, that's the ultimate stage, or spiritual knowledge, everyone could attain the supreme benefit and be blessed with the everlasting spiritual bliss. In this, again, we want to reiterate one thing. Is self-realization follows God realization. It's very this concept, because without being appreciative of who God is and how glorious God is, who would want to become connected to Him? And that's why, oh my God, what happened? Lights have gone. Oh, something loose connection. Just 1 second. That's why, 1 second. So how will we experience God realizations? What it would be like to be with Krishna or Srimati Radharani, in our present situation experience. And that's why Krishna's manifestations, which this manifestation of Krishna is a Mahat Purush, gives us the experience what it would be like to be with Krishna, what it would be like to, so that kind of affinity, that kind of feeling of devotion, one can develop towards the Mahat Purush, and that Saiva Sadhushi Krito, as Bhagavatam says, Kapil Bhagwan instructs his mother Devhuti, the Saiva Sadhushi Krito. So how we will experience detachment from mundane things and mundane identification only by identifying with that we are Krishna's. So before we will be transferred to that realm where the divine couple manifests their loving pastimes, we attain the eligibility to become transferred there only by developing that fascination towards the Mahat Purush. And this is likened to God realization, that we experience that connectivity, that bond, that dedication, and that as if we have we are, and then developing that rati to his lotus feet, it makes one realize the self-realization, So self-realization does not have to wait, or rather, without this realization, we may not attain the eligibility to be transferred there. So this is very something very personal thing. So that's why if everyone would seek after spiritual realization or spiritual knowledge, so what is the definition of spiritual realization? That we have interacted with Sakshat Hari. So that is the level of appreciation and appraisal of the Mahatpurus who comes in our life and who connect us to Mahaprabhu's manifest. How much we can value him, and accordingly we feel we experience the fulfillment out of this world. We experience the out of this world experience only by realizing the most blessedness of a Mahatpurush in our life. You know. And that way everyone could attain the supreme benefit and be blessed with the everlasting spiritual bliss. Unless we experience some sample of what we are getting into, what it would be like, what is the experience of attaining the supreme abode, that has to, that without testing, without how we will develop the hankering for for the ultimate. Anyway, so this moha delusion, it is addressed by Sripad Shankaracharya also. He demonstrates in one of his writings. He says, "Who is your wife? Who is your son? This material life is most amazing. Whose are you? What is your identity? Where have you come from? Oh brother, oh sister, contemplate these questions. You know, even in Yoga Vasishta, that so-called scripture in which Vasishta Muni, Guru is instructing Lord Ramchandra, where he is also describing, if one word says, oh, Kutosti Dukhi, I am slender because I don't have much to gratify, so I have become slender. I am very sad. I am bound. I am a human being with hands and feet. By thinking like this, the human being is bound. I am not sad. I don't have a body. How can I be bound? So on the soul platform, this education is given. By thinking like this, a human being is freed from the ropes of delusion. I am not flesh. I am not bones. So this is the jnani is the educate. But our emphasis is on the divine body. We are not nobody. We are somebody. Which body are we? So this culture of Krishna consciousness, especially relating to, connecting to Sri Radha Dasham, the highest position possible for human soul, it informs and it causes our fascination to attain that form, that Manjari form. And so it takes us beyond it. We should not just settle on this Atma Anatma. I am not this body. I am the spirit soul. But the spirit soul also has a form, na? Spiritual form, spiritual body. And that is the fascination we must realize. So finally then we read in last sloka, greed, greed and delusion, anger, greed and delusion. So delusion is address, correct? Misidentification. Chai ripu sadahina koribo madena bhina. The devotees that surrender to Sri Krishna's lotus feet. Sri Krishna means, again when we hear Sri Krishna, we mean Sri Radha Krishna, the divine couple. That should be the awareness a sadhaka, especially in this Manjari Bhav Upasana, should develop. Whenever we speak Sri Krishna, Sri Radha Krishna, Sri stands for Srimati Radharani. So the devotees that surrender to Sri Krishna's lotus feet do not defeat the six enemies with great endeavor like the jnanis and yogis. on the strength of their surrender to Sri Krishna's lotus feet, these powerful enemies, you know, the spiritual hankerings or the material hankerings, these powerful enemies, will automatically become small and insignificant. They cannot exert any power on the mind of a devotee who is always fixed in meditation upon the divine couple. The Lord has personally said, by surrendering unto me, Mami prapadyante maya metam tarantite. So, if one attains that transformation, through culture of this satsanga, then we can attain this one-pointed worship. That is the subject matter of today's shloka. Apani palabe sab shuniya govind rab simha rabe yeno kari gana. Amazing analogy is given. Sakal vipatti jabe mahanand sukha pabe jara hoy ekanta bhajan. So these six vices, Kam, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mad, Matsarya, these vices will flee apani palabe sab. They will flee on their own because we have been situated on the higher platform. Na? When we target the higher, then lower temptations cannot lull us, cannot distract us. These vices will flee automatically when they hear the sound of Govinda's name. Just as elephants flee when they hear the lion's roar. Yeah, that's true. When the lion is after someone, it roars. Everybody flees up. Even elephant, just an elephant. So if we consider this Shadripu, the six enemies, as powerful as the elephants even. Elephants is very... But the elephants also flee when they hear the lion's roar. So when our vigor, when our intensity, Tibrena Bhakti Yogena attains one-pointedness, it becomes very powerful, correct? Just like the flow of water, if it is going only in one dhara, in one flow, it is very powerful. If it is divided into multiple outlets, then it loses its strong flow. Same thing. So all calamities will go from one who surrenders to one-pointed bhajan, and he will attain topmost bliss. So in the scriptures, in Vedic scriptures, Sakam Bhakti is not condemned like the multiple god worship. Bhagavatam also says, Akama sarva kamova moksha kama udadhi tivrena bhakti yogena. If you want to approach, you must approach only one, the Supreme. And, going to different sub-gods is denounced in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. Because even with the lot of material desires and aspirations, if one approaches only Krishna, ananyas chintayanto mam, ye janha paryupasati, tesham nityabhiyuktanam yoga kshemam vahamyam. Initially Krishna says, I can understand you are a conditioned soul and you have many hankerings, everything, but to fulfill all your necessities and fulfill all your aspirations, you must approach and surrender only up to me, unto me. Then I will take care of it. That is the promise given by Krishna. And Krishna then does the magic. When one agrees or one becomes fully convinced to take shelter only of Krishna, only of Sri Krishna, then Krishna then purifies him all the way. So, so that is the thing. So all calamities will go from one who surrenders to one pointed bhajan, and he will attain topmost bliss. So one does not have to struggle like the jnanis and yogis to cast off these enemies. You know? Yat pad pankaj palas vilas bhaktya कर्माशयम कर्माशयम ग्रथितम उद्ग्रथयन्ति संतः तद्वन्न रिक्त मतयो यतयो विरुद्ध श्रोतो गणास्तमरणम भज वासुदेवम. The injunction given in Srimad Bhagavatam is that without taking the devotional path to Supreme Krishna Vasudeva, all other endeavors, even through all other endeavors, one may not be able to rid oneself of this, the influence of these six enemies. You know. But whereas devotees, yat pad pankaj palasha vilasha bhaktya, the karmashayam grathitam udgrathiyanti. Grathita means the knot of entanglement or attachment of this material world. Udgrathiyanti, by experiencing the flavor and the rasa which manifests in the divine lotus feet of Krishna, the connectivity to the lotus feet of Krishna frees one from the clutches of these six enemies, because now one's mind or heart is diverted in the absolute direction, and these six enemies, they are not absolute. So what happens? That devotees, they don't have to do some self-imposition, you know, to cast out these enemies like lust and anger through their devotional practices. They simply devotional practices only for the pleasure of Krishna. If somebody, we don't do devotional practices to get rid of these six enemies. Correct. That is the secondary effect of it. We perform devotional service only for the pleasure of Krishna. So if that is our target engagement, then these enemies, they will just leave us alone, because they will say, oh, he's not catering to our needs, or our invitations, or our temptations, you know. Because as far as purification is concerned, all the purification is made possible only by taking shelter, by dedicating our life to the service of the spiritual master. That dedication is supposed to lead to devotion, you know. So in dedication, what happens? No matter we may have had the conditioning of this influence, under the influence of the six enemies, but when we dedicate unconditionally, then we will follow only the direction and the order of the person we have dedicated our life to. So that way, even if we have the tendency and the attraction to follow the demands of these six enemies, you know, we will be saved from them. You know? And so only simply by dedicating our life, you know, to a pure devotee, one who is free from these six vices, one can lose the temptation or lose the effect, because if you don't feed something, it won't gain any strength. Even like Swatantra Kam, independent aspirations, and all this tendencies, or the what is our this which we want to express through anger, greed, and all these proclivities. they will be reigned, controlled by the order and direction of the spiritual master. So that's why attaching, if we become attached to such a pure devotee, then what happens? Then we will not go do anything which is not sanctioned by him, or which is not asked. So that way we can become freed from the influence of these six enemies without separately endeavoring to get over with them, like the Gyanis and the other process, other practitioners too. They automatically flee from the hearts of the practicing devotees. Apani palabe sab shuniya govind rabe simha rabe jeno karigana. What a beautiful analogy. Just as the mad elephants flee when they hear the roaring of a lion, similarly the practitioners' enemies like lust and anger flee automatically from the heart upon hearing the sound of Sri Govinda's holy names, attributes, pastimes. Those who have been connected and relishing the Krishna's Nam Rupa Guna Lila, then how can these enemies, they will find, oh, they are not listening to us because they found a greater boss, correct? Krishna is the greatest boss. So the six enemies, they will not bother us. But we have to sustain this awareness that we belong to Krishna. And so who can touch us? So if we belong to Krishna, we are Krishna's. Na? So we should engage our all proclivity or expression through mind, through words and through actions for the pleasure of Krishna. So that identification that I am Krishna's, that will be so swiftly cause the enemies like lust and anger flee automatically from the heart, from our heart. When we take the joy or relish the sound of Krishna's name, his attributes, his qualities, his pastimes, which resembles the roar of a lion. Go, Sri Krishna. Correct? Sound means dhvani, rub, and it has the influence. Sound has the power to make something understandable. In the material world, sounds also have a certain power to express something. Sound. Water comes to the mouth. Water comes to the mouth. When it comes, when we hear the word, something very tasty, palatable, like some savory, some sour, some taste. And when we hear the word, ghost, what one thinks about it, it's very fearsome. No? So we can experience these things even by hearing material sounds. They influence us. If somebody says snake, immediately everybody runs away. Even if it is not there, simply the sound of the snake. Isn't so? We may be sitting here together and having the best everything, unless one has attained the position of Parikshit Maharaj, he became free from even when he knew that his body will be killed or vanished by the snake bite, but he was so absorbed in Krishna Katha that even the certain coming of a snake to bite him would not perturb him. But otherwise, the sound makes a difference. No? So if we can experience these things even by hearing material sounds, then is it astonishing that the enemies like lust will automatically and forever flee from the heart of the practitioner who hears the supremely powerful sacred syllables that contain the holy names, attributes and pastimes of Sri Krishna, Govinda, in which he himself has invested his full eternal transcendental power. Mahaprabhu says, Namna Makari Baudha, Nija Sarva Shakti. So, with that conviction, with that appreciation, that by taking shelter of Krishna's holy name and listening to his wonderful pastimes and qualities, we are constantly under Krishna's protection. So how can these enemies, if we are so protected by the best protection, ultimate, absolute protection, how can these non-absolute enemies, actually enemies are always non-absolute, isn't it? Can you think of someone as absolute enemy? No. Absolute has to be only good. Absolute can be only befriended. So this enemy, this duality, correct? Who wants enemy? So enemy is only in the non-absolute realm. So when we become situated in our absolute connectivity with Krishna, then these non-absolute enemies, they leave us because they don't find any, there is no match, na? Yam labdva chaparam labham manyate na dhikam tatha yasmin sthito na dukkhe na guru napi vichalya. Then, by becoming sheltered by the absolute friend, Sri Krishna, yam labdva chaparam labham, one realizes, one feels that there is no greater benefit, there is no greater achievement than this. And after having achieved that shelter of Krishna's name, etc., Yasmin sthitona dukkhena, having sheltered, coming in the shelter of Krishna's holy name and Rupa Guna Leela, then one will not become, but does not become perturbed or disturbed even by the greatest calamity in life. So through this Krishna consciousness, what we have been given is this connectivity to the ultimate absolute shelter. Even if you become shelterless from this worldly point of view, at least, even if literally things happen that we become totally, some hurricane comes or something happens, we can still survive through this appreciation of Krishna connectivity. Yasmin sthito na dukkhe na guru napi vichari. Even by the greatest calamity, we cannot be baffled because we can always find, because we have become blessed. With Krishna connection, we will find the connection and with Krishna's devotees. And one who is connected to the devotees of the Lord, pure devotees of the Lord, then he has lost nothing because he has gained. So our real connectivity, at what level? At the level of asakti, developing attachment for a pure devotee, it will take us all the way. So one who is situated in that connectivity with the devotees, he has nothing, he has nothing to lament, even if everything is lost, because one can hang on to, one can survive very joyfully, enthusiastically. The world gives us the experience. What is the lesson the world gives us? Jagata is always moving. So no matter, even if you want to grab this world with our tight fists, hands, we cannot. So eventually when such experience or such event comes in our life where everything becomes like materially upside down, this our connectivity with this highest level of Krishna consciousness would suffice to free us from any lamenting situation. Our lamenting, our hankering should be only for Sri Radharani. So that way the compassion is given. Sound is very, very powerful. So, in which, so Krishna also says, Mahaprabhu says that, O Krishna, you have invested all your energy and potency and kripa in your holy name. For what purpose? Actually, we should know that the main result of hearing of Sri Krishna's, Govinda's holy names, attributes, and so is the attainment of love for his divine feet. And that the concomitant result is the fleeing of enemies like lust. So we don't use devotional activities to fight these six enemies. They will flee when they will find that we are engaged in Krishna service. And that the concomitant result is the fleeing of enemies like lust. And when the word rubber, the sound, is translated as sound, it means that even when maybe calling a worldly person, somebody takes the name Govinda, all the enemies like lust also automatically flee from the heart. It's a beautiful, no? Shraddhaya Hilayava. What is that? Krishna's one of the glories. Bhriguvaru Tariyet Krishna Nama. It's a beautiful sloka. Madhura Madhuram Mangalam Mangalanam Sakala Nigam Valli Satphalam Chit Swarupam Sakrit Api Parigitam Shraddhaya Helayava Bhrigavaru Naramatram Tariyet Krishna Nama. Everybody, anybody who even calls upon Krishna's name out of faith or without, jokingly, anything, the name Krishna is non different, being absolute. And so anybody, under any circumstance, if he happens to call out the name, this very sound of Krishna, the influence, all the enemies like lust also automatically flee from the heart. Krishna, and like it just frees. If somebody is captured by enemies, one has to simply cry, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And if we can safeguard ourselves in good Sajatiya Sangha association, then we can definitely, without any other endeavor, make our so-called enemies flee us, flee from us. In the Skanda Purana, it is written, even if one utters the name of any earthly person named Govinda, thousands upon thousands of sins are being removed. This is called Namabhas. One is not addressing, like Ajamil, he addressed Narayan, not calling upon the Supreme Lord, but his son was given the name Narayan. So that is Namabhas, even not addressing the person who Narayan is or Govinda is, So even in Namabhas, this is called Namabhas, or a reflection of the holy name. Yadyapi Anyatra Sanketa, although he is targeting someone other than Narayan or Govinda, Anyatra. Even if one indicates something else, that reflection of the holy name will still not destroy the power of the holy name. Since the holy names of the Lord are wholly non-different from the Lord himself, the reflection of the holy name also, wow, the reflection means namabhas. Just the reflection of the holy name also manifests its own special glories. It's like somebody takes the medicine with faith or without faith, knowing its glory or not. If he's administered the medicine, it will show its effect. In the same way, Krishna's name one takes with faith or without faith. Even the reflection of the holy name also manifests its own special glories. Abhasa means reflection. It is natural for the reflection of the sun to be milder than the sun in the sky itself. In the same way, but even the reflection of the sun behind the clouds, it also removes the darkness. No? In the same way, although the power of Namabhas is less, it still enables one to attain the four human pursuits, including the highest, liberation. In this case, what question is there still of destroying sin, suffering or the enemies? Suffering or the enemies means even Namabhas can provide one liberation from material bondage. What is the liberation is a big deal, no? In the Vedic culture. To become free from the entanglement of this realm of three modes of material nature is the most coveted. Moksha is the highest aspiration of Purushartha. Merely by Namabhas, even one can attain liberation. So what is the power of the six enemies? They are nothing. They are like insignificant. So one who takes shelter of the holy name, then these enemies will flee him. Because by taking holy name, we are feeding the devotion to Krishna. Devotion towards Krishna becomes nourished or fed by accepting this practice of glorifying Krishna's names in Kirtan, in Japa, etc., and studying Krishna's qualities and pastimes and hearing all these things. Then the blessed author says, Sakala vipatti jabe mahananda sukha pabe jara hoy ekanta bhajana. Ekanta bhajana. Exclusive devotion has to be emphasized. When the enemies have fled, the practitioner becomes free from danger. This means that as the practitioner conquers his bad habits, because he will have no opportunity if one keeps oneself in good association, protective association, because then enemies won't be given any feeding, no avenues for them to enter. So when the enemies have fled, the practitioner becomes free from danger. This means that as the practitioner conquers his bad habits, because there would be no time and space left for him to go for them, he will be protected. His heart gradually becomes, because he has developed attachment for the association of devotees, and because he has developed attachment for a pure devotee, then his heart gradually becomes fixed in bhajana, nishtha. Then he gets the taste and becomes attached, asakti to the Lord. Then the practitioner can become blessed with incessant bliss of bhajana. In order to experience asakti, because asakti is always singular, correct? So ultimately, our progressiveness or development of Krishna consciousness will be gauged through our attachment to the devotee. We have taken subservience or accepted shelter, because then asakti being singular, one cannot sustain any more asakti for anything else. Asakti simultaneously cannot be for more than one thing of opposite nature. So this is what happens when we become dedicated to the service of the pure devotee. then the practitioner can become blessed with incessant bliss of bhajan. One experience is that I have been accepted by Krishna. Diksha kale bhakta kare atma samarpan. Atma samarpan one does to Krishna, but apparently it is to the spiritual master. So Diksha kale bhakta kare atma samarpan, because spiritual master is also perceived, or should be perceived as the customized manifestation of God for me to accept my surrender. Then the practitioner can become blessed with incessant bliss of bhajan, with the realization that I have been accepted by Krishna this way, and the attainment of the bliss of the Lord's personal loving service. What it would be like to be in personal service of Krishna, one can experience in the personal service of the spiritual master, a pure devotee. Then ekanta bhajan, or selfless, desireless and unadulterated bhajan, is accomplished. The purport of this is that as long as the enemies like lust reside in the heart of the practitioner, that long his heart will continue to below on the waves of different gross and subtle desires. Yes, such as profit, adoration, and distinction. Therefore, although he did take shelter of the path of exclusive worship, since his heart is still billowing on the waves of subtle and gross desires, he cannot reach genuine, exclusive, and unadulterated bhajan. In the conditioned state, unless one becomes sufficiently or fully purified, this residual effect of this residual affinity, if you want to call it, and these enemies we have been serving since eternity, and so although they have caused so much degradation in us, but because we have served them so long that we have not developed a hatred for them. You see the point? And that's why, because we have not developed hatred for them, since the heart is still billowing on the waves of subtle and gross desires, he cannot reach genuine, exclusive, and unadulterated bhajan. For instance, the mind of a chaste woman who is fully surrendered to her husband does not waver from her husband and never becomes attached to others. But the minds of those women who have not yet attained such a loyalty and fidelity to the husband will still be moved when they see another nice man. Thus it should be understood. So this practical example is given. So to make this point explained and understood better, the quotation of Govinda Bhashya, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan has written, those who are dedicated to worshipping Sri Hari are superior to those who desire the fruits of their devotion. Those who are dedicated to worshipping Sri Hari, worshipping means to bring joy for his pleasure, no? That is worshipping. Those who are dedicated to worshipping Sri Hari are superior to those who desire the fruits of their devotion. They are called ekanti, for they are fixed in spiritual matters. Then again, among those ekanti means exclusively worshipping Krishna only, no other shelter, no other going and bowing down and taking shelter. Exclusively taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, they are called ekanti. Then again, among these ekanti devotees, exclusive devotees of Krishna, those whose hearts are attached to Sri Hari's form of Sri Brajendra Nandan Krishna are the greatest. Wow. Sri Hari is wholly subdued by their exclusive attachment to him. Srimad Rupa Goswami has also written, Tatrapi ekantinam srishtha in Bhakti Sama Sindhu. Among many devotees of the Supreme Lord, those who are exclusively attached or devoted to Brajendra Nandan Krishna. Krishna is the Gopa. Krishna is a son of Nanda Maharaj. Brajendra Nandan Krishna. Tatrapi ekantinam srishtha Govinda Rita Manase. Yesha Shrishi Prasadopi. Mano hartum na shakmyat. Among the ekanti or exclusive devotees, those devotees whose hearts were stolen by Sri Govinda are the greatest, for even Sri Vaikunthanatha Vishnu, Narayan, Sriman Narayan cannot steal their minds away. It is needless to say that other matters are even less likely to steal away their minds. Even Sriman Narayan, in the beginning, about how many? Almost 40 years ago, 39 years ago. Once we were in Keshevji Gaudiya Math, where Prabhupada took sannyas, we went there to get some books like Jaiva Dharma especially. So there one day we stayed there for a couple of days, and one day Srimad Narayan Maharaj was speaking on this Prema Bhakti Chandrika. That was the first time I knew about Prema Bhakti Chandrika. Purchased, of course, Sri Guru Charana, Guru Vandana is from Prema Bhakti Chandrika, but not much discussion about it. And he was explaining in one of the topics that Sloka will come later, that those like Hanumanji is exclusively devoted to the worship of Lord Ramchandra. And so we are aspiring to attain Sri Radha Dashyam. For us, if Hanumanji appears one day, and say, oh, because as we pass by in India many temples, if somebody passes through the temple of Hanuman and it shows the respect, bows down, and then Hanuman is saying, oh, he's very nice person, so let me take him to my Lord Ramchandra. So suppose Hanumanji suddenly appears and say, hey, come, I will take you to Lord Ramchandra. What will be our position? We will be lulled into it. We'll say, okay, oh, what a wonderful thing. But those whose heart has been stolen by Brajendra Nandan Krishna's form, their heart, for even Sri Vaikuntanath, Sriman Narayan Vishnu cannot steal their minds away. So that kind of attachment or exclusive attachment we should be able to develop for the divine couple. It is needless to say that other matters are even less likely to steal away their minds. There are 4 kinds of full independence in this exclusivity. There are 4 kinds of full independence in this exclusivity. What is that? First, disinterest in Varnashram Dharma. Second, independence from fruitive activities or non-dualistic knowledge. Complete attraction to the Lord even in adverse time. And fourth, exclusive dedication to the cause of Prema. Prema Pumartha Mahan. Love is our dedication. Our target is to attain love. And what kind of love? Bhavollastati, in the mood of a choicest or Nitya Pran Sakhi called Manjari of Srimati Radharani. In this way, the exclusive devotees become the object of Sri Hari's Sri Hari means Sri Radha Krishna. In this way, the exclusive devotees become the object of Sri Hari's exclusive grace, and by this grace, they will swiftly be able to remove all their old bad habits and attain the treasure of pure devotion. As they thus relish devotion, they will be blessed with genuine bliss. This is the essential. So once again, the last sentence. As they thus relish, they will be blessed with genuine bliss. And in front of that genuine bliss, all their old habits, they will flee because they have attained the treasure of pure devotion. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. I think we can stop here and have some interaction. Thank you for your patient listening. Anybody has any question, comment, or anything they would like to share? Hare Krishna. Oh, Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Uh, Maharaj, my question was like, as in our Vaishnava tradition, we also observe fast and for the appearance of Lord Ramachandra and for the different avatars of Lord. So as we are aiming for Sri Radha Dasyam, and we as you said that even when Shri Hanuman comes and asks us to go for Ramachandra, we should have that dedication. So how can we perceive that, Maharaj?
Yes, we can say Hanumanji. Thank you very much. Please, please help us to attend Radha Dashyam. So we can always seek the blessings of Hanumanji if he appears. But showing respect is not denied, no? But to where we want to reach, it has to be our subjective choice, no? Correct? So in the
Yes.
Vedic culture, different why Krishna says Nam Nam Akari Bahudha Nija Sarva Shakti Tatrarpita Niyamita Smarnena Kala. So the variegatedness is allowed, but once we have developed a particular taste, that is what we want. That's why we have to understand the superlative status of attaining Sri Radha Dashyam. We must imbibe its the glory, the superlative glory of, or as we have been describing, that in accordance to our Swarupa, it is the highest possible achievement, attainment. Why it is described as the highest platform of love of Krishna in accordance to our Swarupa? Because at that platform, one becomes blessed with the experience of the highest sweetness of the divine couple of Sri Krishna. So if we are up to the best, how can we settle for anything less than the best? Simply we have to keep asking this question to ourselves. All right?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So even when we celebrate, you know, we should be reminded only of Krishna, because Lord Ramchandra is an identity in Tattva. सिद्धांततस अभेदोपि श्री श्री कृष्ण स्वरूपयो रसेनोत्कर्षते कृष्ण रूपम एष रस स्थिति. रस की स्थिति, the position of rasa is such that it makes Krishna form so much more attractive, so much more utkarsh. Utkarsh means superior. They are both Krishna's manifestation only. If Narayan manifestation, Ramachandra manifestation, Singha Varha, etc. manifestation, they are only Krishna's manifestation. But just as a person is can be related with the same person at different levels. Somebody is related, connected to from his home, personal. Somebody may be related with his office attire or office glory, business glory, and different different levels of friendship. Somebody's so it's the same person, but those who are connected to his home, his internal affairs, their connectivity is more fulfilling, na? It's like
Yeah.
they get more out of those who are connected with the family or home. They can they know his glory more than others. Somebody may know the person is a very big businessman or different ways, but they may not have the connection to his family and home. So in the same way, Sri Krishna form, that's the original form of God. And in that, if one is connected there, if one finds one's fascination there, then he has, why should he, how can he just limit himself just to his limited glory, you know? So that way we can appreciate that if Hanumanji wants to tell us, let's go to Ramchandra, we should be able to tell even Hanumanji, that's all right, but can you help me? Can you help me find and get the darshan of Brajendra Nandan Sri Krishna, Sri Radha Krishna? Then Hanumanji, then he himself will say, okay, I can wish you good luck. Correct. And so if we have we can that way also please Hanumanji and handle his offer properly. We cannot afford to settle for anything less. Temptation may be there in the beginning stage, but we have to, through the culture of this Krishna consciousness, this culture of this Prema Bhakti Chandrika and Rup Raghunath, these scriptures, the fascination they are trying to inculcate in us about Sri Radha Dasyam, let it happen so much so that even Hanumanji won't be able to distract us.
Yes,
So,
Maharaj.
so that is the thing that that much development, we should. That's why the exclusive devotion is so essential, so critical. Tibrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusha param. Exclusively become devoted to the divine couple, Sri Radha Krishna. Then how can we settle for anything less, anything else or anything less? Even if you don't want to call anything less, those who are attached to the form of Sitaram or Hanumanji, let it be. It's their prerogative. But for us, the Sri Krishna stands out as the supreme. Or from rasa point of view, because those who have been attracted to Krishna's form, then no other temptation, even the mercy of Sriman Narayan won't distract him. But here's one thing, one point comes to my mind. So if Hanumanji appears to you or me or anybody, or Sriman Narayan appears, that means we have met God, correct? Now there is no doubt that
Yeah.
God is unattained for us. Just hypothetically, just think about it. If we have worshipped, we have aspired, we have contemplated upon the divine couple in Nikunja Mandir is our, with our service as a kinkari, manjari. So if Narayan appears and he tries to attract us to, do you think he will succeed? Or if our fervor to attain Srimati Radharani's lotus feet, with Sriman Narayan, she would not be associating with the Narayan form anyway, correct? And that's why exclusive devotion will cause our rati. Devotion, dedication leads to devotion. Devotion means rati. So if we have developed aspiration and rati for the divine couple, Sri Radha Krishna, that's the point that even Vaikuntanath Vishnu cannot steal their minds away. Make sense?
Yes, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Shri Guru.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Guru, I also have a question on this example that if Hanumanji appeared in front of us and if he asked us, "Ki, okay, come with me, I will take you to Lord Ram," but we instead ask Hanumanji to bless us to attain that we attain Radha Dasyam.
Yes.
So my question is, Shri Guru, that at our current stage, like at my current stage personally, how can I how should I think that if I blow this opportunity, then I there is a high possibility I might fall down in my bhajan. So if we pass this opportunity, what if I fall down and I waste this life?
Very, very nice question. It's not, it's like getting demotion. You know, Hanumanji is also situated on absolute platform. There's an absolute realm, na? All Vaikunthas are absolute realm. But there's a variegatedness. That's why we we have to safeguard ourselves, our mood and aspiration through Sajatiya Sangha to the point that we uh, develop Rati. And at the stage of Rati, then one cannot become baffled. So before the stage of Rati, as we discussed many times, that Ruchi could also be multiple. Nishtha could be also in multiple things. But Rati or Asakti is always singular. So until we come to the stage of Asakti, uh, these things uh, these things are possible, which you are fearing. It's not a fall down, but it's a demotion. How much we value, how much we appraise our connectivity to Mahaprabhu. If we can simply remember that, then we will be safe. If Mahaprabhu wants to give us Sri Radha Dashyam, why should we accept the offer given by even Hanumanji or even even God Himself in different forms, even Narayan? Correct? So we have to value, we have to very comparatively, very meditatively try to the pricelessness or the unprecedented nature of this Radha Dashyam in our life through this satsang. Then we will not go for demotion. Rather, we will see that demotion has fall down as you are telling. Yes. And it is described in our scriptures one thing that due to aparadha, one can be demoted to the lower rasa. One may be situated in to begin with or to aspire after this, and because of aparadha, then one has to leave the company of those who are situated in higher rasa and settle with others in Vatsalya rasa or Sakhya rasa or Dasya rasa. Because this service in the conjugal rasa only possible through this Radha Dashyam Bhava, Bhavullasati. And if we somehow other do aparadha to such a elevated soul who is situated in the Radha Dashyam Bhava, that aparadha can cause demotion to the lower bhava, because one has to become completely free from envy. So this is seen, and one settles with the lower rasa. Lower we say from subjective point of view, but as far as one is situated in whichever rasa, for them that is the highest. Correct. So how one will settle? But from subjective point of view, that would be a demotion for us, na? But when one finds that attraction to that rasa, for him that becomes the highest. But Rupa Goswami describes that if we think from Krishna's point of view, which service pleases or brings Krishna the highest pleasure, So our service to Krishna is an assistant to Srimati Radharani. That is most pleasing to Krishna, because it has something for Krishna also. In order to attain favorability of Srimati Radharani, Krishna needs the help of those who are confidential of Srimati Radharani. Because Radharani, out of his man, she doesn't give a buzz to Krishna's request. So what will Krishna do? So those who become confidential of Srimati Radharani, they are the object of attraction, or those who can fulfill Krishna's need even. So rather than trying to need Krishna, Mahaprabhu has exposed the fortune of attaining that status where we become the need of Krishna. How wonderful. There is no match, no? Other fortunes, they are so tiny, so unattractive, in front of Sri Radha Dashyam. So such should be the contemplation of a sadhaka, that we are up to the ultimate. We just cannot afford to settle for anything less than that. हनुमान जी तो बहुत और भी नीचे आ रहे हैं, वो तो दास्य भाव में ना, सख्य वात्सल्य भी. Even in Braja Bhakti, this Nikunja Mandir realm is so limited. Limited means it is outside the reach of most Brajavasis. The unlimited realm of conjugal realm, Vilas Madhuri, manifest unlimited within that so-called limit of Nikunja Mandir. Na? So it's a big paradox. It is unlimited manifestation of conjugal pastimes of the divine couple with the assistance of Sakhis and Manjaris, especially Manjaris. And still, it is beyond the reach of most sadhakas. So we should pride that we are becoming the part of the supreme or the highest fortune on the way to attain the highest fortune in accordance to our Swarup identity. All right. So stay with devotees, and they will not let you lulled by even Hanumanji.
Yes, Shri Guru.
And study this Brihad Bhagavatamrit, then it will, even Hanumanji will say, okay, even Hanumanji may say, well, I'm no match to you. Correct? Okay भाई ठीक है. I wish you all successful. विश ही कर सकते हैं ना, कि जो जिसके पास है वही दे सकता है ना. So who is more capable, Hanuman ji or one who is endowed with the the bhava of Radha Dashyam. Hmm? One can give only what one has, na? If I approach you, so if I think that you are that wealthy, then that much wealth I can ask from you. But if I ask you something which you don't have, that's why through education of this culture, we can see the limit of what Hanumanji can give us. No? And so, what we hanker, then we have to also find out who can fulfill our hankering. If you hanker something which is beyond the reach of Hanumanji, why should we embarrass him also? So it's just for the sadhaka, it is described in the beginning stage that they are, until they come to the stage of asakti, where the exclusive, and asakti is always singular, they will not waver from that focus, even if Hanumanji comes. All right.
Yes, Shri Guru. Your words always pierce our heart, Shri Guru. Your words, your words clean our consciousness. They are like medicine which is helping us get cured from this disease of material contamination. Hare Krishna, Shri Guru. Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Bol. Nitai Gaur Premanande. All right, if no one has anything to share or say, we can.
Hare Krishna. We will all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times with love and respect for our dear Shri Guru.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
With all the love from our hearts, we will together say Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivrajakacarya Ashtottara Shat Shri Swamini Kripa Murti Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Shri Prabhupada Bhakti Swarup Govind Maharaj ki
Jai, Jai, Jai.
Nitai Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai. Again, Gaurangi became the youngest participant. Only she's winning that every time.
Hare Krishna.
All right. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Hari. So we join.
Krishna, Pranam Shri Guru.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Sri Swami Nityastu. We join you all in Kirtan in less than 2 hours. No, less than 2.5 hours.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Shri Krishna.
Hare Krishna, welcome. So how everything moving progressively? We can always sustain our progressiveness in our consciousness. You know, even if physically or we are limited, but in consciousness we can always sustain our progressiveness, targeting only Sri Radha Darshan. Correct?
Yes, Shri Guru. Thank you.
There we cannot have an excuse. We cannot give an excuse. We can have excuses with regard to our body, which limits us, you know, with regard to our sometime mind also, intelligence also, ego also. But in consciousness, we can override all the all the limits caused by the limited faculties of our existence, the mind, the body, intelligence, and everything. So it's the rule of through consciousness only we can transcend the limited or limiting nature of body, mind, etc. And we should not identify the things which limit us. Because they are useful, but through consciousness we should always find ourselves above, because through pure consciousness only we are always can become connected to the absolute platform. So, and again, as we say, the attraction or the beauty of our existence is defined by the purity of our consciousness and conscience. Conscience is our every moment, present moment disposition, how we react, how we think, how we speak, how we act, our conscience. And consciousness is like the storehouse, and that will define us. That will define if any attractiveness in us, or that is the point of beauty, because everybody is in search of the source of all beauty. So, because we are also part and parcel of the most beautiful divine couple, correct? So, our beauty will also be defined by the purity of our consciousness and conscience. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari 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 Bol. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Shri Guru.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Shri Guru.
Pranam Shri Guru. Hare Krishna.
Sri Swamini Matayas to everyone, and don't worry, we'll join in Kirtan also.
Hare Krishna, Shri Guru Pranam.
Hare Krishna. So
Dandvat Pranam Guru.
we are never breaking, correct? It's a wholesome connectivity, but apparently limiting from time, place, and circumstances only. But in our consciousness, we are never breaking away. All right? Yes or no?
So,
But you were saying
Yes,
no.
Shri Guru.
was like that. Hare Krishna. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्णा, दंडवत प्रणाम गुरुदेव।
हरे कृष्णा, बस आप ही बाकी रह गए थे।
हाँ।
हरे कृष्ण। निताई गौर प्रेमानंद।